Chapter 5. As he was being escorted home, Andy started to get a plan together in his head. He knows first he would have to get rid of the guard, but he can't hurt him. Next, he would have to locate the fairy Peter told him about. When Andy went inside his house, he noted where the guard stood outside. He then got an idea. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I got it, Andy said to himself. He went over to a shelf and grabbed a few things, but most importantly, he grabbed a kava plant. A natural tranquilizer. If I make some of the roots into a paste, then I can put on one of my arrows, Andy thought. Good thing kavas are very strong. Just a little bit in a scratch is enough to knock out someone for an hour or two. That should be enough time to find the fairy and help free Peter. As Andy made the tranquilizing paste, he wondered how he would find the fairy. He doesn't even know her name. The only lead he has is he's looking for a fairy kid who is a girl. That definitely narrows the search. After I take care of the guard, I'll head to Fairy Cove. She might be there, Andy thought as he put some of the tranquilizers on one of his arrows. He grabbed his bow and aimed. Steady. Aim a bit to the right and release, Andy said as he let go of the arrow. It grazed the guard's arm but nicked him enough for the tranquilizer to work. When the guard succumbed to the tranquilizer, Andy moved him so people thought the guard was with him. Andy then headed north towards Fairy Cove, hoping to find Peter's friend and request her help to free Peter. After about an hour of searching around Fairy Cove, Andy thought he would never find the fairy. That was until he saw a little blonde fairy on the outskirts of the Fairy Cove. Andy couldn't help but overhear her. "Ah, where is he? He's always in his cave. But why not today?" the fairy asked herself, upset. He's not anywhere near the mountains, but he wouldn't leave there either. Where is he? Andy carefully approached her. Hi there. Ah, the fairy jumped in fear. Who are you? Andy stepped back a bit. Sorry for startling you. I'm Andy. Who might you be? The fairy was silent but eventually answered. Melody. I'm Melody. Well, Melody. I'm sorry, but I overheard you. Were you talking about the dragon in the mountains? Melody looked scared. I don't know what you're talking about. Andy knew she was lying. Melody, I'm an elf. I can tell when someone is lying. And you don't have to lie to me about Peter. Why, you know Peter. Andy nodded. I dressed his wounds after he crashed to the ground trying to fly with no avail. Melody looked around and asked, Do you know where he is? Unfortunately, yes, but you won't like it. Why? Where is he? Melody asked, her voice shaking a bit. Andy took a deep breath to recollect himself. Melody, Peter's in a cell at the castle. Melody started to cry. Why is he there? The queen spirit doesn't like him at all. So why is he there? Melody. Earlier today, some guards approached us while I was bandaging a wound on Peter's arm. We were brought before the Queen Spirit. I was going to be punished for treason, but Peter stepped up and took the blame for the crime, allowing me to go free. The Queen Spirit said he'll most likely be executed. Andy explained. I came here to look for you because I knew his friend might help me get him out before he's executed. Melody thought for a second. So you want me to help you get Peter out of the castle? Yes, but only if you want to. I won't force you to help me. And how can I trust you won't just turn me in? I'm already in a predicament with the Queen Spirit. Melody said, judging Andy's words. Melody, I'm an elf. If I lie, it's clear as day. Elves can't lie. Andy stated. Also, I believe it's unfair that the Queen Spirit will just send him to be executed. She won't most likely send him, she will send him. The only issue is I don't know how long we have to free him. So will you help me free him? Melody thought for a minute. She knew she was on her last straw with the Queen Spirit, and if she were caught, she would most likely face execution as well. But Peter was her friend and she had always helped her friends. She finally made her decision and summoned her flute. The Queen Spirit is dangerous, so you may need a bit of magic to help you. She said. You're a music fairy. That may turn the odds in our favor. That's one reason why I'm helping. Because I'm stronger than my fellow fairies and I want to free my friend. Melody stated. Now let's go. From what you said, we are in a race against time, and time doesn't like to play fair. With that, the two headed toward the castle. When they had to walk through some villages a few times, Melody had to play her flute so people couldn't see Andy. She also made herself look like a creature, not a fairy, and was just playing on a basic wooden flute. This way they could keep down suspicion. When they got to the castle, they noticed there were lots of guards. Andy, do you have a plan for this? Melody asked. Well, Andy started. I have some tranquilizing paste I made, but once I knock down one of them, the rest will be on high alert. Yeah, and we want to avoid that. Melody said as she started to think of something. Oh, I got an idea, but could you cover your ears? She asked as she summoned her flute once again. Sure. Andy said as he covered his ears. Melody aligned her fingers to play and played a very high, ear-splitting note. As she played, Andy noticed the guards covered their ears in pain and eventually fell to the ground. Once seeing all the guards had fallen, Melody stopped playing. Andy uncovered his ears and saw what Melody did. I don't like to use my magic against others, but I will when no other options arise, Melody muttered under her breath as she sent away her flute. How did you know what to play? Andy asked her. That note affects creatures with sensitive, pointed ears. That's why I asked for you to cover yours beforehand. Melody informed Andy as he planned their next move. The two sneaked into the castle, being careful as to not get caught. When they had to get past a guard, Andy would use his tranquilizing arrows so they could get by. They continued their way to the basement, where the cells were. The two peeked around the corner to see a cell on the far side that was more guarded than the rest. That must be his cell. Melody whispered. But what should we do about the guards? There's a good amount there. Yeah, there's easily about 7 or 8 of them there. Tranquilizing won't work here, stated Andy. We need to come up with a plan. I can't play that note. While it can work on them from here, it will also affect Peter. Melody noted. Oh right, that note affects creatures with sensitive pointed ears. Dragons fall under that category. And to get him out of here, he needs to be conscious. Melody and Andy thought for a minute. Andy soon got an idea. I got an idea, Andy whispered. Melody looked at him. What is it, Andy? Since we can't knock all of them out where they stand, he started to explain. We lead them away. So, we will distract them? Melody asked. Andy nodded. But won't some of the guards stay? Yes, but even after about 2 are distracted for a certain amount of time, they'll send more until there is only 1 or 2 left. Alrighty then. What's the plan? Melody asked, wanting to know. So, I'll hide over there by those barrels while you play something that will catch their attention. Next, you'll hide but keep playing so they'll stay to look for you. After there are 5 to 6 guards near you, play that note. While you knock them out, I'll tranquilize the last 1 or 2 who remain and put them in the adjacent cells. When you return, you will keep watch as I pick the lock. Then, we get him out and leave the castle without getting caught. Andy said, explaining the plan to Melody. Sound good? It just might work. Melody chimed. You go hide. It's time for me to play the Pied Piper of this story. Andy went and hid and waited as she started to play. When she heard some guards walking towards her, Melody started to fly a bit of a way away from the cells. Melody kept her tune happy but mysterious, catching the guards' attention as they followed the music down the hall. When Melody was far enough from Andy, she flew against the wall gently and tapped her foot in a peculiar rhythm. As she tapped her foot, she turned invisible but kept playing her song. Eventually, Andy noted that 2 more left, leaving about 5 or 6 at the cell. After a while, all but 2 remained. Andy waited for a bit after the guards left before coming out of hiding. He peeked around the corner to see the guards were standing ever so perfectly that he could hit both with 1 arrow. 2 birds with 1 stone. Andy thought. He grabbed an arrow from his quiver, applied the tranquilizing paste to it, and put the arrow on the bowstring. He aimed very carefully. A bit to the left. A little bit down. Focus. Aim. Release, he said as he let go of the bowstring. The arrow flew so fast the guards wouldn't have been able to see it graze their arms. A minute or so later, the guards fell to the ground. Andy went over and dragged them into the other cells and shut the cell door. When Melody came back, she kept an eye out as Andy tried to pick the lock. They heard someone in the cell. Who's there? They heard a familiar voice. Andy got the cell opened and Peter looked at the 2. You 2. What are you 2 doing here? He asked. It's dangerous here. We wanted to rescue you, chimed Melody. Yeah, if we didn't get you out, you would be executed for no reason, Andy stated. But if you want to blame any of us, blame me. Getting you out was my idea. Peter was silent. He saw the 2 guards knocked out in some cells. The 2 kids knocked out the guards and risked their own lives to save his. He decided to let the 2 finish their mission. You came here and risked your lives to free me, but we are still in the castle. You need to finish your mission, he said with a smile. The 2 kids' faces lit up. Melody got her flute ready and Andy got his bow and arrows ready. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Melody chimed brightly. As soon as they left the basement of the castle, they all heard an all too familiar voice. What do you think you're doing?